Tonight, Alex Jones talks with Black Panther veteran Larry Pinkney about the Trojan horse that is Barack Obama. Then, Treasury Department investigators say the IRS is helping illegal immigrants defraud the government out of billions of dollars. Plus, a woman who was a victim of a brutal rape undergoes a horrific experience at the hands of the TSA. And how to survive a theater-style shooting. Lock and load. That's coming up next on the Infowars Nightly News.
First story tonight is, well, something that we dropped the ball on, or I dropped the ball on. The last 3 years, I've talked to 2 different whistleblowers here at the main IRS command center nationwide. It's based in Austin, Texas, for whatever reason. And that's where this national story is now broken in the Associated Press. Last week, I mentioned on air we had several IRS whistleblowers and a big article about to come out. It's just they gave me so much information that I don't know where to start. But now it's in the Associated Press. It's everywhere because the Drudge Report put it out a few days ago, so they're forced to report on it. And we now have this inspector of the Treasury coming out and saying, oh, yes, some of the people at the IRS, the Treasury commands, so it's kind of like Obama acting like he didn't know about Fast and Furious. It's like the Don going after some of his capos and telling him not to follow his orders anymore once they get caught. They are saying that the IRS was giving fake tax ID numbers, which they could then use with Social Security numbers they'd stolen, even if they didn't match, to, in some cases, get hundreds of millions of dollars per home. In fact, they were saying 10 addresses had 59,000 plus tax returns, tax refunds sent to it. Now, here's the rest of the story you're not getting out of this and that we're going to be breaking very, very soon. And believe me, this is dangerous info. Foreign governments, the Russians, the Chinese, at least that's what the top IRS people here in town are telling me. Well, let's just say high level. Don't want to give away too much. They are being told that foreign governments have gotten all these Social Security numbers that Bank of America has released, the Texas Comptroller, so much of this is happening in Texas, and that the illegals somehow get these and the foreign governments get them with the tax ID numbers the IRS will give anybody. And then they merge those and are able to get even more money and refunds and tax credits for children and things like that that don't exist. And that once it's discovered that the identity's been stolen of U.S. citizens, the IRS freezes their accounts and things, in many cases takes their money. You heard me right. Takes the money of U.S. citizens out of their bank accounts, acting like they did it. And it's the IRS who's been ordered to give the illegal aliens and others unlimited fake tax ID numbers, which then allow them to use other fake Social Security numbers. But the other big news is there's a mutiny rebellion at the IRS. I mean, there's like giant complexes all over Austin. Just I don't want to say a few hundred yards, give away our location or anything, but very, very close to us is one of the main IRS locations. And they're just freaking out because the other big issue is they say over 70% of the new tax money and the audits they're doing are of retirees because they've retroactively changed the regulations to where now they're trying to say most of the retiree savings that are after tax money to begin with, 401ks, things like that, they're grabbing that. But a decade later, they're saying, well, you used a few $100,000 out of your retirement, and we're now saying penalties and interest. You owe us $1 million, so we're taking your $300,000 house. So this is such a big story. And I've had these IRS folks for, well, one of them 3 years, one of them a lot less than that. Give me info, but it's always, hey, we're not going to violate the whistleblower stuff. Even, you know, they'll come after us, but look into this. Well, look into that. Well, here's an example. There are houses in Austin getting $500,000 a year. The news, Accounting Digest said it was 80-something million at one house. But the point is that this was going on. And then they would give me, you know, all these examples that they were breaking down. But the big thing is the IRS is finally finding a conscience. It's like, I'll barbecue small children, but I won't fillet them while they're live. We humanely beat them on the head first with a hammer before we, you know, barbecue them. And they're taking old ladies' houses, you name it. I mean, they're grabbing diamond rings off people's fingers. And do you know where this goes? It goes to the offshore banks mainly, or all the people who've lost their jobs that are now going on welfare. And we've got a report here, over 100 million now on welfare in this country, of 310 mil. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. IRS missing billions in ID theft. Okay, here's the next report, American Dream. Michael Schneider reports, and he's got all the sources linked here. Over 100 million Americans are on welfare, $71.8 billion on food stamps alone. That's 46.4 million monthly getting that. And you add in all the other programs on Medicaid rolls, 16 million, and you add the rest of them up. It's over 100 million. We've got the little pie chart there for you. So from land of the free, a home of the brave, to land of the dependent. And all of this is done by the offshore banks, where they give you a small portion of the chicken feed just so they've got a group that'll burn cities if they don't get given all of what they want. Okay, let's now move along from that spectacle of disenfranchisement. Of course, the illegal aliens are pretty big. I got to hand it to the illegal aliens. They're driving around in nicer cars than I am. They're living in nice houses. They don't follow any of the rules. They get DWI. The judge gives them a $10 fine. I've talked to prosecutors in town that have come to my office but are too scared to come on the air, assistant prosecutors. But it's all over the country. It's come out in the news, $10, $50 fines. They just make up whatever name they want. They do whatever they want, and the globalists work with them. American citizens are known as, one word, chumps. Well, two words, suckers. Well, schmucks, idiots, marks, the right whale, people to be abused, wimps, idiots, morons. Moving to the next story, Obama doesn't want us talking about this, and the head of the NSA admits it will be an internet ID that they can use to tax you, track you, or cut you off the internet if they claim you violated something without a court of law. Obama considering executive branch action on cybersecurity. And strangely enough, they use identity theft as the reason, while it's Bank of America and the Texas Comptroller and the IRS and all these agencies, 9 times out of 10, they are the #1 cause, look it up, of all the identity theft. People are scared to use the internet thinking that's where it's happening. Let me tell you, it's government, it's big banks selling the data, it's corrupt people inside DMVs, and then it is occasionally when you go into a gas station and they swipe your credit card, they've got a machine hooked up to steal it. They fence it to India or Pakistan. Those are the main countries. Israel does it some, Thailand, Saudi Arabia. And then now they clone that credit card and go out and start making purchases. All right, let's continue here. President Obama is considering executive branch action on U.S. cybersecurity, which has an assault weapons ban, by the way, not a ban on sale, on possession in it, after Congress failed to pass legislation to protect national security assets. A White House aide said, if the Congress is not going to act on something like this, and the president wants to make sure that we're doing everything possible. Yeah, if Congress doesn't act, well, he just does whatever the hell he wants. Who needs a Congress? John Brennan, Obama's counterterrorism advisor, Obama runs Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria, advisor, that's like an oxymoron, said today at an event on the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington. They always make those announcements there at that mafia headquarters. Same folks praising Al-Qaeda last week. Let's move right along. Wade Page died of self-inflicted gunshot wound in Sikh temple shooting. Kind of like we were told somebody said, let's roll, and took down Flight 93, even though it was shot down by F-16s. We were told a cop shot this guy. But now it was self-inflicted, the Army PSYOPs officer connected to the white supremacist group, totally infiltrated, they admit, by the Southern Poverty Law Center, but magically, just like Oklahoma City, it happened. And the witnesses all said 4 shooters, and the head of the Sikh temple said, men casing the building. But hey, you know what? Let's just ignore they got 5 bills to basically ban most guns, and the UN treaty's not dead and all this, and that the cop didn't shoot him like we were told and all this. What a facts matter? They stage Fast and Furious. They'd never stage this. These are good people who give out fake tax ID numbers so they can be attached to real taxpayers, so the IRS can then go claim they engaged in the crime and take everything they got, no judge or jury. I mean, it's freedom. Let the troops use DU that kills them? Oh, yeah, here's our next story. There's the rancid possum himself. Democratic senators offer gun control amendment for cybersecurity bill. And it is one hell of a bill. It will ban all semi-autos, the possession, ban clips, everything else. and just absolutely horrible. But, you know, so what? Chucky Schumer has bodyguards of his own. What does he care? Once he gets your guns, he can really have fun with you, like all despots do. Let's go now to our next video piece. You've seen him on the 2 beta test episodes we shot for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers of Brothers in Arms. My favorite episode was the drone shot down over Texas. Here's Matt Williams on how to survive a theater-style shooting. On July 20th, 2012, James Holmes allegedly committed an act of mass murder at the theater. Here's how you deal with that. They've got the Homeland Security video that says run and hide or use a fire extinguisher. Well, no, the answer would be have a firearm to defend yourself. But they always pick places where they think people won't have guns. So here's Matt Williams' report. We're going to come back, finish the news, go to the Ask Alex segment with Christy Hightower in studio, and then go to an amazing interview with one of the founding members of the real Black Panther Party. Stay with us.
This is Matt Williams reporting for the Infowars Nightly News. Yesterday, I wrote an article regarding surviving a theater-style shooting. I wrote that article because I really wanted to address some of the concerns and questions a lot of Americans had. Did you have a choice? What could have been done to prevent it? Well, you can't stop crazy, but what you can do is solve it. In America, we have our Second Amendment. Our Second Amendment is one of our biggest fundamental rights. It protects every other amendment and every other right that we have. If we don't exercise this right, we fall prey to what you've seen in Colorado. So let's talk about safety tips. There's only 4. They're very basic. You'll see a lot of places that have more, maybe even less, hopefully not less. If you could follow these 4 basic safety tips, it will ensure not only your safety, but the safety of those around you. 1, all firearms are loaded until you physically and visually inspect the weapon yourself. Taking someone's word for it just isn't good enough. 2, never point a firearm at anything you're not willing to destroy. If you can eliminate this, the worst thing you'll do is put a hole in your carpet. 3, your finger stays off the trigger at all times until you're on target. Yet another thing. And then finally, 4, be aware of your target and surroundings at all times. While your bullet may hit its intended target, you don't know if it'll penetrate it and actually injure an innocent person. So being aware of your surroundings, your backstop, all these features are very important for safety. Now, the reason why I wrote the article is because there's a lot of opinions on how everything went down, why it went down. And the ultimate reason why I wrote the article is because so many people cower in fear. There's no reason to. There are laws in 33 states currently, actually, I'm sorry, 34 states currently that allow concealed handgun licensing. Now, I'm not here to tell you that buying a handgun and getting a license is going to save your life. On the contrary, a lot of people are under the assumption that if they do get a handgun and they get a license, it comes with some sort of mysterious red cape that's going to save them. It's not the truth. Along with a firearm and a license comes with a lot of training. It's something that could be fun, it could be family-oriented, it could even be done in a corporate level. But the fact of the matter is if you don't do anything, you will be at the mercy of your attacker. Now keep in mind, 911, our police officers are out there and they're trying to do the best job possible. For the most part, I think they're doing a great job. However, you're still waiting on a 4 to 5 minute downtime for response. That leaves you at the mercy of your attacker. These people are not talking, they are shooting. In 3 or 4 minutes or even 5 minutes, you can clear out an entire movie theater, not just one of the theaters, but the entire complex. So taking your personal safety into your own hands is not just an option. It's a duty and a right that you have to exercise. And if you don't exercise it, as we've all learned, you'll lose it. I myself am a DPS certified CHL instructor in the state of Texas. Texas has reciprocity in 33 other states. That means our licensors are good in their states and theirs in ours. However, the laws do differ. After reviewing Colorado's law, all that I saw is that gun-free zones can only be implemented for federal buildings. So why is this theater chain actually stripping you of your constitutional rights, thinking that corporate policy can supersede state law? Individuals such as James Holmes are somewhat of an enigma. The alleged shooter had walked into this movie theater towards the fire exit, I believe, towards the movie screen and opened fire. For the people in the front row, there was simply no surviving it. It was a matter of numbers. But the individuals in the remainder of the theater had a choice. Unfortunately, they made the choice not to arm themselves, not to exercise their constitutional rights to self-defense. and they paid the price for it. I'm not saying a simple license, like a concealed handgun license, as well as a weapon, is going to solve your problem. These two things do not magically come with a red cape. However, it is a start. After that, once you obtain these things, you can obtain training. You can build your skill level. You can become proficient and ultimately ensure your own safety. Now, you can sit there and call 911. The boys in blue definitely work their butt off to help us out, and they do a damn good job. But at the end of the day, when a lunatic like this enters a room and starts taking lives, law enforcement becomes a placebo. You have 4 to 5 minutes before response time actually comes in and saves you. Are you willing to wait that long? Or more importantly, can you? In this situation, someone could have stopped him. All it would have taken was one woman, one man who was well-trained with a sidearm and knew how to approach it. I know what you're thinking. He had a lot of guns. He had body armor. Well, body armors don't deflect bullets like Superman. They simply absorb kinetic energy. A bullet still has impact. It still breaks bones. It still ruptures organs. There's things that could have been done. And that's what this article is really designed to do, is plant seeds in your mind to ask more questions, to find out more information on what you can do as an American to protect yourself. And remember, there are over 70 million gun owners that own 3.6 guns each that killed no one yesterday. It's not the inanimate objects that you got to worry about. It's that small residual. For the most part, us as Americans are great people. It's time we start acting like it. It's time we start uniting. My name is Matt Williams with Infowars Nightly News.
Thank you for that report, Matt Williams. Hopefully, folks, will get this information out to everybody. Just since the shootings of the last 3 weeks, I've seen dozens and dozens of reports of citizens shooting a guy that's shooting at cops and killing him, or people breaking into businesses and old woman runs off 5 armed guys, or people break in with guns into an internet cafe and one old guy with a .25 shoots them and runs them off and they get arrested. I mean, just every day I see it, but it's only in local news. The truth is over 2 million violent crimes are stopped each year, the FBI admits with the Second Amendment, and you're 20+ times, it's over 20, more crimes are frustrated by guns than are actually committed with guns. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, as the New World Order likes to say. Let's continue on with the next report here. Outrage in U.S. as black man is shot in the head while handcuffed in police car. Man, we're seeing this more and more. Saw it out there in the case in San Francisco where the guy's in handcuffs, hadn't done anything. The cop shoots him in the back, then they grab all the cameras, well, all but one, and say that he had attacked him. That's pretty darn scary, because let me tell you something. Even if some of you out there are racist and don't like black folks just because they're black, let me tell you something. Whatever they beta test of the black folks gets done to everybody. It's called you reap what you sow. And hundreds of people have taken to the streets to protest an official explanation of a suicide, the death of Chavez Carter, 21, in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Mr. Carter was pulled over by police late last month and searched twice by officers. They discovered a $10 bag of marijuana. Well, that's a death penalty in America. Mr. Carter had his hands cut behind his back and put in the police car, and then they say shot himself in the head. Okay, it's like Gary Webb that exposed CIA drug dealing, shot himself twice in the head. Whew, bad mojo there. Continuing. Occupier charged with terroristic felony for protesting in front of bank. And I saw this and went and looked it up. It's really true. A protester belonging to Occupy Wall Street group in rural Pennsylvania is being charged with felony attempt, bank robbery, and terrorism-related charge for holding signs up during a demonstration at local Wells Fargo branch. David C. Grozinski, 22, was charged on Tuesday with attempted bank robbery and terroristic threatening, both felonies as well as misdemeanor charge of disorderly conduct. Police detained him after he walked into the Edison, PA Wells Fargo branch with a sign that read, "You're being robbed." Another that said, "Give a man a gun, he can rob a bank. Give a man a bank, and he can rob a country." So they clearly twisted that to claim that his speech was a weapon. Unbelievable. And you've got federal courts ruling that, hey, free speech zones can be 100 miles away from where something's at. End of the First Amendment when it comes to the street. Now they want cybersecurity to do away with that as well. Shifting gears to more globalist hot air, NASA's Hansen exploits hot summers to push carbon fascism. And what they do is, this is not a record hot summer. I remember it being 115 degrees when I was playing football in Dallas back in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And I remember, you know, days of 110, 112, 115 going all week. And it's been nothing like that. We always have hot summers here. What they do is, and this has come out, they put the thermometers on airport tarmacs and on top of buildings where they can say it's hotter than ever. Global temperatures have dropped in the last 15 years, and the climate gate emails from these people admit that. But his answer is pay Al Gore and him and others money to breathe carbon dioxide. Okay, and again, it is the sun that's the main driver regardless, but the UN voted 3 years ago to say the sun doesn't affect climate. Well, if you say so. I mean, it must be true. Why does it get hot in the middle of the day then? I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but again, I'm not a lying NASA scientist either. Okay, that's all teleprompter free, by the way. That's why it's so cheesy. Man jailed for collecting rainwater begins sentence. It's a 10-year battle in Oregon. 30 days in jail because he has a small pond in his backyard. Pool pond, same thing. Pond would be good for you. And he would use it to water his plants. Well, you ain't doing that, Jack. And I've talked to family that have cattle ponds on our family ranch. And other families are getting letters saying the government wants to know where their cows are getting the water. Well, we had a bulldozer 20 years ago go dig a hole out there, and the rainwater gets in it, and the cows drink it. But they're like, hey, we're going to put a meter on that, Jack, because that water belongs to Uncle Sam, who's, by the way, works for foreign banks or above the law and don't pay taxes. But, hey, it's all fun. So he's serving his 30-day stint for lives out in the country and collects water for his garden. And I see reports now every couple days in the U.S. and Canada where they're arresting people who have gardens in their backyards now, not just front yard. It's like, listen, you don't grow them damn plants. You go buy some GMO corn right now at Walmart immediately. Sounds like a free country to me. I mean, you know, Stalin wouldn't let the kulaks have their own farms. He let them have gardens because the commies had to have something to steal. But, I mean, Stalin was a liberal. We need to go past him. So, no gardens. Freedom. State owns everything. State owns the sunshine. So, sit down and shut up. Okay, rape victim traumatized by horrific TSA experience. Yeah, and people get their colostomy bags ripped off of them, and little kids get taken behind closed doors, or pot-bellied pervs grab their genitals. But, hey, it's all to keep us safe from Al-Qaeda. The government publicly runs in Syria and Libya and everywhere else. But you can go check out that account of his wife's experience, and it's pretty darn scary to see that happening here in the USA. But the globalists have got to train us to get their hands on our body. We're going to go to the quote of the day and then go to break and come back with Christy Hightower right there. So get ready, Christy. We got a movie in here quick during the break. And then we are going to go to break after that and come back with an amazing in-depth interview on people being imprisoned for their political views and set up in this country. They've tried to set me up, so believe me, this guest coming up has got my attention. But let's talk to Christy Hightower after this. Arms are the only true badge of liberty. That's about all we got left, yeah. The possession of arms is the distinction of a free man from a slave. Andrew Fletcher, 1698. I didn't know somebody else had said that. I always say that. Slaves are disarmed, free people are armed. In every culture where your serfs are slaves, you can't own swords, knives, battle axes. In fact, in ancient England, before Magna Carta got fully enforced, butchers had to have a knife with the front cut off so it couldn't be used against the king when his guys dropped by, specially trained to rape your wife with the right of prima noctu. But TSA is getting us warmed up for that anyways. We'll be back with Christy Hightower with what's become very popular, the Ask Alex segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back. That's a segment dedicated to questions that were given at planetinfowars.com. Stay with us. Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com.
These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. You've got the Life Straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com.
And we are back with the Ask Alex segment with Christy Hightower. You know, normally we shoot these before the show and then air them here, but I thought, why not just get Christy in here and knock it all out right now? And so that's what we're doing. Now, last time we did 50 questions, and I said I could do it in one sitting. It took 3 sittings and almost 2.5 hours of Ask Alex's. Tonight, you know, we have obviously got to condense this down because we've got a big interview with Mr. Pinkney coming up after this break. But these are for PlanetInfowars.com, the Patriot anti-globalist social network. And it's in beta, but we've worked out a lot of the bugs. People are joining it en masse. Check it out, PlanetInfowars.com. Give us your feedback, your art, your poetry, for whether it's dating or camping or you want to join a shooting club. Whatever the case is, it's awesome. PlanetInfowars.com. Check it out today. We're adding more and more features to PlanetInfowars.com. Okay, Christy.
All right.
We've got you here in studio with us.
Absolutely.
How many questions do you have there? As though this was a quick one today.
Yeah, okay. I tried to keep them pretty simple, so there's only 9. And the first one actually is going to start off. There's from Violin 633. He says, Alex, what exactly are the 6 megabanks that control the Federal Reserve? And what do they do? And could you name all of them?
Who are the 6 megabanks that control the Federal Reserve? By the way, I have not even seen the list.
I don't even give him the list anymore. It's just,
well, no,
go with it.
I can remember all sorts of weird little factoids. But then sometimes, something like the 6 megabanks, I always forget the 6th one because it's actually a European consortium between the Bank of England and Société Générale. I always mispronounce it.
Okay.
My wife's got a degree in French. She gets mad when I say it wrong. But it's a Bank of, well, I mean, chief among them,
okay.
J.P. Morgan Chase,
okay.
the biggest, Goldman Sachs,
right.
Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, and then a European consortium. And I just say 6, because a lot of big publications say there's 6 major shareholders. There's some other stragglers and consortiums. There's less than 12, 15, you could debate it, 15, 12. There's less than 15 global mega banks that have the control of issuance of currency and credit and who control regulators where they can issue fiat derivative garbage. If you try to put out a company with even reasonable stock and you don't cross, you know, your fingers right and tie your shoelaces correctly, they're going to throw you in jail for life.
Yeah.
But these guys can just engage in insider trading, fraud, whatever they want. So there are the big 6 mega banks that rule our planet, as CNBC and others have admitted.
Right. Yeah, we even came up with a tank image, actually, where it was shooting out CNN and MSNBC stuff. But moving on, Matthew actually asked you, if the government hits the kill switch on the internet, which you've talked about a lot, then what can we do? What backup systems do we have? I mean, we're implementing.
Sure. Well, I mean, they'll launch it where terrorists hit it. Like, they're like, Stuxnet hit us. We've got to take over the web. They admit they created it, but they're like, yeah, Al-Qaeda's bad, but we run them. We got to take your rights because of them. But they're heroes in Libya and Syria. Oh, but Stuxnet that Israel and the U.S. created, we got to take your rights because of that. And, oh, yeah. So they're going to have a lot of excuses, and they're getting us used to government text on the phone about things and presidential alerts and government break-ins. And, oh, we've got to, they talked about rerouting the internet to one site during a flu alert so no one can lie about the, you know, the dangerousness of the flu. It turned out it was all a fraud 3.5 years ago. Yeah. We're coming out with Infowars Insider. We're going to put out a monthly magazine that's like full-length, full graphics, full articles. I mean, world-class. We're going to have hard copies folks can buy for, they're going to cost us about 50 cents a piece in the final equation. So we're going to sell 100 for $50 at cost.
Awesome.
And the shipping just has in the cost of the shipping guys. So, I mean, that's the introductory. Buy 100, give them to your friends and family. Once a month, do a $50 subscription. We haven't set it up yet, so folks can't go order it yet.
Okay.
It's going to come out September 1st.
Awesome.
Looks like it's 48 pages right now. It's almost done. We've got 5 or 6 articles we're going to write right before that come out. We've already got most of them written.
So they're timely.
I mean, it's powerful.
Yeah.
But it's got like 20-something articles in it. We're going to try to pay for it with advertising. But the point is, it's our answer to the internet kill switch, and it is print 2.0. Print's dying just like mainstream media is dying online. Print, yeah, is a disadvantage to the internet, but the coup de grace, or the final blow, the cherry on top, which is 90% of it, is that it's all a bunch of pablum. People in Austin don't want to read how our guns are bad in tournament, and how the family's horrible, and how world government loves us, and shutting off our power plant to pay double to foreign bankers is great. People all over the country don't want to hear this. So we're going to put 50,000 copies on the street of Austin and have 20,000 printed up, because that's what I think people are going to order in lots of 100, to just, hey, here's an awesome magazine. You know, it's tabloid style, but it's nice white newsprint, heavy 50 bond, whatever they call it. So it's newspaper, it's really a magazine. And it's I mean, when you see the cover, it is incredible.
Awesome.
Well, I mean, you have seen it back there.
Well, I've seen different versions of the cover. Have we actually decided?
Yes, we have it. But don't let out the secret yet.
No.
People can go to Infowars.com/newsletter, sign up to get our daily alerts, but you'll have a e-version where you just flip through it, emailed free to you, if you sign up at Infowars.com/newsletter.
And we'll be doing a little bit on the social network as well, like Facebook and Twitter. So
oh, yeah, I plan to show people some of the articles ahead of it coming out to give people, I mean, this is like, I heard 6 graphics people and news layout folks that have run newspapers and stuff. I mean, it's world class.
Absolutely.
And out of the gates,
everything you do.
Oh, come on.
Seriously, you have
teleprompter free.
You have a great mark on art, so you have a good eye for that stuff.
Well, you're very nice, Christy. But continuing, well, I mean, that's one thing. People should get their own access shows.
Okay.
They should go get local radio shows. Just ask.
Yeah.
I mean, talk radio's out there. There's time on the weekend. Get a few sponsors. Get on. Make money getting the truth out.
Right.
And you might even get a weekday show. I mean, I didn't pay for my weekend show. I started out with 17 years ago. I did Access TV. It was popular for about 6 months. A local station was going to talk, big FM talker, got high ratings on the weekend, got a weeknight show, got syndicated out of that.
You just got to get into it. I think people are just
you can't overthink it.
Yeah.
Just, you've got info, you're angry about what's happening, get involved, bring your passion. Neighborhood newsletters.
Anger is the alchemy to making a change. That's what I think.
I forget who said that.
I did. Okay, I summarized. I'm sure I got it from someone.
No, but I mean, well, truth is, a lot of times, earlier we had a quote that I've said 100 times myself just learning it, and I never knew that Andrew Fletcher in 1698 said it. Arms are the only true badge of liberty. The possession of arms is the distinction of a free man from a slave. That's just Veritas.
Absolutely. Veritas, so you know Latin, not French. All right, where you go.
It is ridiculous when I kiss something, isn't it? Look, here we go. Here we go.
Did we get it? Did we get it?
Anyways, all right. Next question. We're running out of time.
Okay, all right. Kevin asked you if we're going to be left with Obama or Romney to vote for during the presidential election, the two globalists. Should we not vote at all?
You know, we get 60% turnout on average. Sometimes it's 55, sometimes 64, but it's around 60 on average.
Okay.
59.7 is like the last 50-year average in presidential turnouts. But we get on average about 8.2 local. And it's funny, Austin has exactly 8.2, where we're broadcasting from, has the national average pinned. Some places it's more, some less. Some places we get, like New York, it's more like 20-something% local turnout. And mayoral, even more. Sometimes it's like 65. But here it's 8.2. That's the nationwide average for whatever reason. That's where all the power is at. That's where the robbery's happening. The UN, when they can't get Congress to pass something, they come in with lobbyists into your city. Austin's one of the worst, San Francisco, and just take over. Pay for our sports stadium. Pay for Formula One.
Yeah.
Pay for having your power plant shut off because we own the other one and we'll double profits. And so let's see people involved locally. Even if you run for office and don't win, you're at the debates embarrassing them. You're at city council in their face. Sue people when they won't take fluoride out. Even Harvard just came out with a 30-plus year study and said, yes, it's brain damaging us and causing cancer. So listen, don't laugh, Austin Mayor, like he does to people, you little bastard. Bastards aren't bad. That's not a good enough name for him. You below cockroach creature. Don't laugh, okay? This isn't funny, bone cancer and brain damage, you bastard. Excuse me. Here is the report. Don't you laugh when we bring scientists like Dr. Conant in here, all the way from, you know, the East Coast here. Don't you laugh at us that we care? Don't you laugh at us being concerned? Don't you laugh at us not being awake? Don't you laugh at us not being in a coma? I'm going to sue you. I think I'm going to sue him myself. More and more, I'm tired of it. He is assaulting me with sodium fluoride and Grignard reagents and heavy metals that we pay $1 million+ a year in Austin to have dumped in our water when they admit it's giving people cancer and endocrine failure and diabetes. And he thinks it's funny. There it is. Harvard study published in federal government journals confirms fluoride lowers IQ. Cancer, you name it. Just because you laugh, punk, doesn't mean it's funny. Absolutely. We're awake and we know what's going on. And your Homeland Security intimidation won't shut down the fact we're tired of you and your boss is assaulting us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I love it.
What was the question? I don't even remember now.
People need to get on it. Essentially, should we vote? I think your answer is you vote in your actions.
You vote everywhere with your dollars and with your action and going, I know you got electronic voting machines in. That's why you're so arrogant. I'm going to sue you. We'll see how arrogance-filled you are then, punk. 50 people are going to sue you. You may even beat it with the corrupt courts, but you won't beat the ride. It ain't funny anymore.
Awesome.
Sorry, go ahead.
I love your passion. All right, this is actually from Sean. Moving forward, he was like, I'm wondering if you thought, I don't know how I can trail that, honestly.
Oh, stop it, Christy.
All right, I'm sorry. Sean says, I was wondering if you thought it was interesting at all that Marilyn Monroe was a close friend of JFK and then committed suicide.
Oh, very close friends. Yes.
Right, yeah. Well, you know, I mean, moderated. As you may know, they often discuss policies, and it's rumored JFK even consulted Monroe on the Cuban policies. The only reason I find this situation very suspect is Marilyn Monroe's psychiatrist, was involved in World War II post-traumatic stress disorder analysis of soldiers.
Yeah, no, she was clearly injected and killed. That's a whole long story. And the question is, did Kennedy's handlers do it or did he? The Kennedys were not angels by any stretch of the imagination, but we just don't know. We do know it's been declassified that Bobby Kennedy did talk about staging a false flag in Honduras against our own embassy as a pretext to go in there. But his brother said no to Operation Northwood staging terror attacks against American citizens. So, and you know, they can plant stuff and then have it declassified too, so we don't know the truth. Right. We just know the ruling class killed him. Next question. All
right. This next one actually comes to you from Bondi, and he says, my question is, how far behind the U.S. do you think Australia is? We're seeing all of the same signs here in Australia, only on a smaller scale. We already have been disarmed, which you've seen all the statistics, they go through the roof as far as arming and all of that. And they're making it very hard to attain a license for a single-shot rifle or a shotgun, as you know.
Yeah, they've gone from just wide-open guns to registering and then banning almost everything.
Right, and crime and all that shot
has exploded, yeah.
Exactly. I love the Planet Infowars too, mate. So good to see so many of you waking up and talking about these scum. So what do you think, basically?
Well, look, England is the model of tyranny, and Europe's like adopting it. You have the surveillance, all of it. Australia is ahead of us in tyranny on many levels, like disarming the peasants.
Right.
The politicians love disarmed peasants, but they're behind in other areas. They're way ahead in carbon taxes. In fact, they're the leader in that. So, I mean, you're there, brother. I mean, it's happening. Yeah. Your crime's exploding, all of it. And then they call for more police, which then become political, you know, oppressors. They're telling people, don't criticize the carbon tax or we'll fine you. 1.1 million Australian. It's crazy. They're talking about arresting people that criticize the government now. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're really trying to enslave them. And China's becoming really the controller of Australia. Almost all the mines in Australia are now run by China. Because their own government doesn't want Australia to be sovereign and strong. They bring in China because the globalists love China because it's authoritarian. Mm-hmm. And so it can be trusted to run things. China has like 98% of rare earth mineral mining worldwide now. And the globalists have done that on purpose. Our government gave them the Panama Canal we built for free. Our government gives them all the concessions. Our government pays $22 billion to ship General Motors, Cadillac, and Volt plants there. China, because they sterilize their people, machine gun crowds, have mobile execution vans. Apple has suicide nets around their slave buildings. I mean, they're the model of trendiness. It's so liberal to be working people 18 hours a day in suicide nets. I mean, it's Al Gore. It's liberal. Turn your guns in. Al Gore said so. He's loving.
Emery's actually asked you, he says, hi, Alex, do you believe that Mars rover and Curiosity have a purpose other than what we are told? or maybe a conspiracy. Do you believe?
Well, I mean, look,
It's a
I've talked to a
recent
lot of
event,
people
so-
I know in NASA. They say most of it's real, but a lot of these missions are fronts for what's really going on. There's a lot more going on Mars than we know.
Is that?
I mean, I had Buzz Aldrin on once, and he started going, and there's the obelisk and the aliens connected to Egypt. And it was like, he never talked like that before. People are like, what the? People can look that up. It's like bizarre. I don't know. I don't get into all that. But obviously, we're on a planet in deep space. We're out on the edge. We're in the boondocks of the Milky Way. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah.
But I mean, the space program is a front for a whole secret program. That much is admitted.
Yeah, we've touched on that before. We should do theme ones. That'd be cool. 2012 escapee asks you, why not interview Duncan O'Finian? He was an MK Ultra super soldier, and they found a bunch of implants when he went to the ER after a car wreck.
Yeah, I think Jesse Ventura interviewed him for his new show.
Actually, it says on the conspiracy theories where.
Yeah, well, that hasn't aired yet. I mean, but I remember Ventura telling me the story of a guy in a car wreck was supposedly with these implants.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of this implant stuff. I know some of it's real. A lot of it is made up. I can't comment on this guy.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen that episode. I consulted on some of the episodes and was in some. It hasn't aired yet. Who knows if it will? That's a big controversy in and of itself. We had Homeland Security censor one of the episodes that I basically produced.
Right.
That I was heavily involved in.
Took it off of people's TiVos and stuff.
Yeah, everything. It aired once.
It's on YouTube. I have seen it.
Yeah, but well, it aired once, but
Yeah.
they're supposed to air like 50 times.
Oh, wow.
You know, they air over and over again for like a year and only aired once. The others have all aired over 50 times. So I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people claim stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Fritz Springmeier. He's a great guy. His book Bloodlines, a lot of it I've documented. I think it's worthwhile to read.
Right.
But he's like, well, some of the super soldiers are made to be, you know, where they have gills. And I'm like, well, what's your proof? Well, a guy told me that. And you know, reality is so weird that when I know where a FEMA camp is and have the legislation, you know, Obama's got stuff introduced to ban all semi-autos. People can't believe that.
Right.
So, you know, guys with gills, Aquaman, Aqualad. Okay, let's just afterburner now.
All right, so we've got 2 questions left. Are you ready?
Oh, good. I thought it was a whole other page.
No, you're great.
Well, let's take our time then. Let's do it.
All right, so James Bahari actually asks you, he says, what has really happened in Russia, Alex? Some people like Edward Griffin asserts that the whole thing is supposed to, you know, bring about the fall of the Soviet Union as a facade, and basically the communist oligarchy are still in control. Why does Putin get up there on stage saying that the fall of the Soviet Union was a great tragedy? Like, why haven't we seen Nuremberg trials times 20 for all the tens of millions of murdered people over the 7 decades? Do you know?
Well, that's a great question.
Yeah, it actually kind of goes on, but
that's a very
ultimately.
Well, you know what? Read the whole thing.
Well, okay. I know in some other ways it's obviously seems like the Wall Street commie oligarchy has been kicked out. But what about other things? God bless you, Alex. That's what he says.
Christy, I love this Ask Alex because it brings up topics that are so important that I really wouldn't have thought of when I'm on air, but that I think of privately. I think about this all the time. And I've studied it. I've interviewed a lot of historians across the political spectrum to try to understand what happened. But I think I should probably have somebody on like G. Edward Griffin, maybe not to debate, but to discuss it with somebody who knows a lot of Russian history like Webster Tarpley.
Yeah.
With myself involved, because I know quite a bit as well.
Round table.
Sure, a round table, maybe a round table Skype. Maybe we should set up multiple, that's a good idea, multiple Skypes in here where I can turn and say, gentlemen. You see what I'm saying? I can like turn and have both of them and then moderate the debate interrupting incessantly. No, but, because I don't just dogmatically decide what I want to think about this politically and then just say it. And there are some murkinesses to all of this. But we know the czars were not, even though they were cousins with the British Empire, the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas, they did not like what was happening and kind of opposed the British Empire, both in our Civil War but after that. So England and the United States sent basically mercenaries or brigades, tens of thousands from Brooklyn went, over into Russia in 1917 with J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of England money. Hundreds of millions of dollars in that time. It was like tens of billions. And they went in like modern jihadis and just blew the hell out of everything. And they weren't popular, but they were able to seize the government. Then they exterminated like tens of millions. I mean, it was not fun.
Of course.
Because first the poor were like, yeah, we don't like the czars. And it's like, now you'll wreck as slaves. And it was like, oh, we don't like that. So they just wrecked Russia. I mean, 10 times worse than it was.
Yeah.
And Lenin was a globalist. The big banks had funded communism as a fake revolution for the people. That's all been declassified and come out.
That sounds familiar, the Al-Qaeda situation with the
Exactly,
US. Yeah.
exactly. This is all in mainline congressional hearings. Anthony Sutton wrote books on the subject. Documents got leaked, but they had major committee hearings on this. This is what McCarthy found out when he was just persecuting the average low-level bookkeeper communist and using that for a police state, because they use the tyranny they create in Russia to create a tyranny here to oppose it. We got to get rid of rights to oppose that, or they'll take over. But as soon as he went, the army runs communist. Boy, it was like he was discredited overnight. His little gravy train was over. Kind of like when Malcolm X was saying, let's kill, or shoot Whitey, or Whitey's the devil, the media loved him. So he said, no, we're brothers. Boom, you're dead.
Right.
So McCarthy was being used, but he was a good guy. As soon as he went, well, the Pentagon and the Carnegie Foundation, and J.P. Morgan, they're running this. Oh, it was over. It was over. So Stalin was really horrible. He killed probably more than Lenin. But he kicked out a bunch of the U.S. Trotskyites who became the neocons, and Kristol's dad and all them, and Trotsky. And so all of that went on. And Stalin was horrible, but they called him Uncle Joe. Then he was Hitler's ally. Then he was against Hitler. But after that, they said Stalin was bad. What?
Was that a marketing ploy to call him Uncle Joe?
Well, no, our media, said he was a loving, good guy up until the end of World War II. But then after that, it was like, okay, he did kill tens of millions. We didn't know the whole time. The bankers that were running us would love to do that here. But there was so much freedom and so many guns they couldn't. So they did it where they could. They were eugenicists. But Stalin kind of got away from them, even though he was bad, ran the neocon Trotskyites out. They came here to become the new Republican leaders. That's all on record. Just look it up. It's even Wall Street Journal that, that the Trotskyites became the neocons. Because you got to control your opposition. You got to become the opposition and lead it if you're really a commie.
Absolutely.
Who isn't really a commie? You're just bank robbing scum, trash. You tell the villagers, come help us. We'll give you free stuff from the rich guys, and then say, by the way, you're all 10 times the slaves you were, but I'm ranting. So you're asking me this incredibly complex question, and it just goes on and on. Gorbachev was propped up when the wall was getting ready to fall. There was a plan to drop it. And Gorbachev was given the Presidio, where they created the UN in 45. He was given that in San Francisco in the late 80s. George Bush Sr., who was vice president, CIA director, was planning this fake wall drop, but a bunch of hardliners didn't want Russia to be handed off purely to the bankers because Stalin had kind of halfway gotten away from him. So they double-crossed him, as best we know, came in and kicked out some of the oligarchs, but still the main oligarchs stayed in charge. Yeltsin was kind of a figure that sold out but didn't completely sell out. More hardliners threw them out, put in Putin, who was KGB, then FSB. And since then, he's played a double game. But Russia's infiltrated as well. Russia's taking foreign investment. So it's not that Russia's good. It's that China's totally in bed with the globalist. But they're held in checkmate by U.S. fleets, which are really banker fleets off their coast, and that's a buildup. So none of these globalists trust each other. It's all this balance of power, a great game. But I know you have to go off a tree's fruits. Putin, for 12 years, has paid you to have kids because their population's plummeting. They've spoken out against eugenics. They've spoken out against anti-family stuff. They have tried to go after government corruption. So I'm not moving to Russia, never been to Russia, don't like what's going on in a lot of respects, don't like to crack down on some things. But Russia is not putting cancer viruses in its vaccines for its population. So Russia is corrupt and an oligarchy and out of control, a bunch of hardline generals and old communists who figured out it doesn't work and kind of broke away and figured out it was run by the West. That said, the people we've got running things here, what they call the Anglo-American establishment, nothing to do with being white. It's the old British U.S. power axis, that model. They are pure crystalline evil and want to create a worldwide tyranny. And the problem is I go off and do a gibbering rant because there's so many thousands of data points I can never get into them all, Christy.
Well,
but that's basically what's happening. The globalists are encircling Russia, sending in al-Qaeda jihadis, trying to bring him down, putting nuclear weapons on their borders, not just anti-ballistic missile systems, funding tyranny in the entire region. George Soros is involved, the same guy that wants our guns here and hates the family. And so I don't pick sides. It's like I just don't want to have war with Russia and don't want to overthrow Assad and put al-Qaeda in and kill all the Christians and Jews.
Right.
It's like Assad wasn't attacking anybody. Why put al-Qaeda in, you know? Russia is trying to rebuild themselves. The globalists want to destroy it. Well, I'm against that. I believe in human development.
Do you think they're moving towards the right, do you think they're moving the
No,
right
globalist attacks on Russia are forcing them to go more authoritarian.
Okay.
Russia has actually figured out that being open and free market would empower them. The last thing the West wants is that.
Yeah, of course.
They're trying to get us away from that. They don't want Russia going towards freedom.
Right.
So by menacing Russia and sending in black ops and political groups openly trying to overthrow it, it forces Russia into an authoritarian stance.
Well, a free market means people are actually thinking for themselves. So, you know, making stuff happen.
Yeah, and it's not the free market of just a dozen or 15 or so oligarchs robbing everything. Every time an oligarch gets arrested, they go, that's fine, it's all Rothschild owned anyway. Or it's all Rockefeller owned, or it's all Standard Oil owned. Every time Putin arrests some corrupt oligarch who owns, say, the whole nickel industry or the whole gold industry or the whole, you know, manufacturing or oil or whatever it is, or natural gas, Gazprom or whatever, every time they arrest him, they go, doesn't matter, you arrested him, he was our front. And then the Rothschilds sued over the Daily Mail saying that it was really all owned by the Rothschilds, and then it came out in court they did own it.
Right, which is why it's great to sue people, because then all this stuff has to come out.
Well, that's why, knock on wood, we don't get sued very often. And every time, we've been sued a few times, we just go into court and beat it. And it's just, it's like a slap suit. But I've never even squeezed our audience for funds. If we ever, as long as we can communicate with them, ever got attacked, we could raise the capital we needed, I know, even in a depression.
We have great fans.
But that's why I realized they could shut us down. We're going to come back in other ways, so we do need people to buy the product, spread the word about the show.
Absolutely.
All right, we've got our next guest, Mr. Pinkney, lined up. Okay. We got two more questions.
Yeah, you're right. Two questions. This one actually comes to you from Guardian, and he says, do you know much about tannins in wine, and you know, why do you get a headache, basically? Like,
I have not spent a lot of time in Europe, haven't had time. Love it, really cool, a lot of classy culture.
We should take the show over abroad.
Yeah. No rest for those living in reality, as they say.
Yeah.
They say no rest for the wicked get to rest all the time. I've talked to people that go over there, and they can drink 2 bottles of wine over a 5-6 hour night party, whatever, 7-course meal, whatever. Europeans taking their time. Nobody gets a headache the next day. And it is the tannins, it is the sulfites, all of it in there, because 1 out of 1 million bottles of wine, that's why in Europe they say smell the cork, 1 out of a couple million bottles, they estimate, it's actually a couple million, will have bacteria in it that if you drank it, 1 out of maybe 1,000 or whatever that got food poisoning from it might die. And so the bureaucracy, they control us here through MSG, aspartame additives. Americans do not get, by federal law for over 60 years, real wine. Even here in the U.S., you can hardly get phosphate-free wine. So we don't drink real wine. We don't drink real water. We don't get real food. It's all adulterated crap.
Yeah.
And but the globalists, though, have special permits where they pay, $500 a bottle that's brought to private clubs they go to, where they can drink the sulfate-free. So
because they know what they're doing. They know that that's not good for them. So.
Yeah, so that's why red wine or even white wine gives you a headache, white wine even more, is it's just chock full of horrible toxins so that it's dead wine. It's dead.
Yeah.
It's dead. At least beer isn't dead. We don't get wine in the U.S. because the FDA says we don't. But we can have every GMO crop. We can have mercury in our shots. We can have fluoride in the water.
Oh, yeah. Load it up.
Load it up.
All right, last question, Alex. We've got No Nanobot asks you, I have not noticed many chemtrails in South Wales since 2 days before the Olympics started here in London. Is this the same for the rest of the UK? It's still raining a lot, and a lot more trees than you would expect are falling over, mostly the ones in wetter, softer soils. More branches are falling, leaves, etc. Is there anything that, is there anyone monitoring?
There's major weather warfare. They admit trillions have been spent in the last 50 years developing it. They had Stanford Research Institute certifying in '67, whenever you've been Livingston, the father of it, that they could create, control, steer, kill, weaken, strengthen hurricanes. That's old technology. They've got electromagnetic systems, not even just seeding. The aluminum dioxide added to jet fuel is being done. It causes particulates, made the planet 21 to 32% darker. People aren't going to believe this. Guys, type in the Earth is 20+% darker. BBC, AP, Reuters. We'll show people in closing here before we go to break.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They add it in the patents to the jet fuel. The companies don't even know. And then the jet engines put it out, and what it's doing is killing the soils. But don't worry, Monsanto and others are coming out with
the magic
aluminum-resistant crops.
Right.
So Romans, if somebody really resisted them, even though salt was expensive then, you get paid in salt. That's why you say, you know, worth your salt. It would be paid in salt or later gold. Yeah, there it is. Earth is 20% darker, say experts. Boom, 2003. Now, that was then. It's always used the 21% is actually the NASA number. It's 32 now. And that's a year-old number. Wow. Type in Earth is 32% darker. I want to show them that, so I think I'm making this up.
What?
But the point is, that's the general chemtrailing, and it makes the Earth, they're trying to make it hotter, but since the sun cooled down, it's not working. It's backfiring. So they're just spraying the U.S. with all kinds of stuff. I mean, they got electromagnetic stuff going. Mumbai's got it as well. No, Dubai's got it. They are just blasting stuff with microwave towers on the ground. They got spraying going, actual spray planes, added to jet fuel, so they can terrorize us into submitting to them. I mean, these are just basically power-mad people. If they can do it, they will. And they've got race-specific bioweapons that kill most people that come in contact with it.
How do they get around this? Like, I mean, the chemtrails are poisoning their food too, right? Or...
And they don't care. They've said, nihilistically, killing us is so important. Lenin said this, strangely enough, in poetry he wrote. And a lot of others wrote this. In fact, in Endgame, I have some quotes by some top transhumanists. They said, we'll probably just blow the planet up once we get full control, because that's a really big event. That's powerful. If we can end all of humanity, we'll be the most powerful ever. And it doesn't matter if no one ever sees that. Blowing the planet up, or maybe even the whole solar system, is our goal.
Including themselves? It just doesn't compute.
But that's a really nasty thing to do, though.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you don't want to grab a 2-year-old off the street and torture him for 6 months before you kill him. So you just don't understand it. You're not cultured, Christy.
Of course not. Of course. Oh.
I mean, if torturing a 4-year-old isn't what you're into, I mean, you're just not cool.
I'm not in the cool club. Yeah.
You're not in the cool club, Christy. So you have to understand you're just not trendy.
Oh, wow. All right. Kaboom. Well, thanks.
No, I mean, Lenin dreamed of just blowing up the Earth, killing everyone. What's the movie with Clint Eastwood? I always got to ask you. It's got Jeff Bridges in it. It's Lightfoot and Thunderbolt and Lightfoot. Tex Mars told me this like a decade ago, and I went and looked it up, and it was true. The poetry of Lenin. But I saw that movie. It's a great movie about trying to find some robbed money that's hidden in a little church. At the end, they finally find it, but he's been beaten up and dies of brain damage. But the point is, in that, they see a crazy guy pulled over on the side of the highway, and he opens up the trunk and lets a bunch of white rabbits out. That's all right, John. John's in here fixing the tape we use to keep the... We ought to look. I want to leave this in. We ought to look and find out how people keep these microphone wires from coming out. We ought to do that. Leave that in. You're in the shot. Just leave it in. It's great. It's great TV. It doesn't even matter. Point is, it's all reality.
This is good.
But listen, getting back to what I was saying. I thought when I was a kid watching that when it was on TV, I'm like, why do you open a trunk of white rabbits and they jump out and you run around shooting them with a shotgun? And Lenin did that. He would go to a private little island in a lake, and they would dump out white rabbits, and he would shoot them, stab them, bite them, and flop around for hours.
Was white
and then, well, whatever. Yeah, but he liked that, yeah.
And
I guess that's where Clint Eastwood, I guess, who wrote that and made that, got that from. But you always think stuff in movies is like, before I ever went to New York, I thought like Italian gangsters, that was fake. We're like, oh, you know, I'm real sad for you right now. And then now, since I've been to New York quite a bit, actually running into real gangsters that know who I am and come up and talk to me. Turns out I learned they're gangsters later. Oh, yeah, this is a real one. Be a friend, a little cup of coffee. Yeah, I always thought that Robert De Niro fake crying was like fake crying when he did that. It was like overacting. No, that's what they do. So the elite, like, you know, if you can't, little kids get white rabbits. I mean, I'm just sorry. This is how crazy they are.
Yeah, well, it's been evident by their actions.
What was that last question? How the hell did I get to that?
No, we started with chemtrails, and I asked you, do they care about their foods being poisoned?
Well, they do have a lot of high-tech cures they've tested on us and treatments, and yes, that is part of it. Those that care do, but the real leadership, they mainly just talk about just blowing the planet up. Because that impresses each other, and they've got the weapons to do it. So
right, yeah.
You know, they kind of dance around the bioweapons and the human-designed mouse pox and the antimatter weapons, the Air Force brags they have, and just kind of, you know, we have it.
Right.
It's like, oh,
look at my ego.
It's so wonderful.
Well, thank you, Alex. I feel like a guest right now. Thank you so much for having
Christy,
me
we
on.
appreciate you having the idea for Ask Alex. Wasn't that your idea?
It was, and obviously the users in Planet Infowars keep it going. So thank you guys for all the great questions. Really.
By the way, if you think I'm joking, viewers, where's the camera?
Yeah, I'm like figuring out where we're going here.
All right, that's enough. We're going to go to break and come back with our next guest. If you like 2-3 hour shows, this is the place for you. You know, it's whatever you like. Pool, pond, you know.
Pool, pond.
We've decided you can separate the world into 2 different groups. You got the pool people and the pond people. And I personally am in the pond.
I think I'd be right there. I agree.
All right.
No chlorine for me.
I mean, we just want to swim in ponds. We don't want to
keep it real.
Kill hundreds of white rabbits or anything. It's like,
no, I'm good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you so much. We'll be right back. I'm Howard Beale, and this is your life.
That's awesome.
Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks adding poison to your water and laughing as you get sick and die? Start purifying your water with ProPure. My friends, I've done a lot of research, and the best gravity filter out there, bar none, is ProPure, and it's available discounted at Infowars.com. Its filters are silver impregnated to prevent bacterial growth. There's no priming required. It's NSF 42 certified. Optional fluoride filters can reduce fluoride up to 95%. Easy to set up and use. Doesn't require electricity. Purify water from lakes, streams, ponds, and wells. This filter system leaves in beneficial minerals, which is key. Save money by not buying bottled water and avoid BPA that leaches from the plastic. ProPure is the best gravity-fed filter out there. It's what my family uses. Infowars.com already has the lowest price on ProPure. But if you add the promo code WATER at checkout, you get an additional 10% off at Infowars.com. You can also call to order 888-253-3139.
And we are back on this August 9th, 2012, Thursday edition. A few weeks ago, we had a very interesting author and researcher and a man who's had some amazing experiences in his life that he can firsthand tell us about, Larry Pinkney, and his amazing website is blackactivistwritersguild.org or blackactivistwg.org, and he's from the original real Black Panther Party, not from my humble opinion, the modern kind of FBI one that in many respects is kind of like the white supremacist groups that just make everybody look stupid and get everybody fighting with each other. But I wanted him to recap not just what he went through with COINTELPRO, because it's back now, worse than ever against everybody, basically. I wanted to get his take on some of the other stories, because his story and others came out in Congress. It's been certified these dirty tricks were engaged in. We see an RT article today, occupier charged with terroristic felony for protesting in front of bank. The federal court just ruled yesterday that they can put you in free speech zones. I've had Austin police tell me, you can't protest out front the governor's mansion, we're going to arrest you. And I said, hey, you've lost lawsuits. Go ahead and arrest me. Well, now I guess they will. I mean, they criticized Putin for doing this, but now it's okay here. So he's really one of the most famous Black Panthers ever, Larry Pinkney, and he joins us now. We're also going to bring up this viral video covered by the Daily Mail, you name it, of people visiting the abortionist, and he says, hey, we got to keep abortion going. Nobody wants these ugly black babies. Are you going to adopt them? I want to get his view on that, because whatever's tested out in the black community, even if there's people out there who are into this divide and conquer, it ends up being brought to your community. So, plus, I don't care what kind of baby you are. I mean, this idea of kill babies, they're worthless, is really scary. We see these eugenicists now saying kill babies up to age 3. Big bioethics forums, medical papers are coming out saying this. They're saying get rid of old people. I mean, this is really a nightmare system, and we are joined by researcher Larry Pinkney. People really loved you on the radio show, and it's great to have you back here with us today, Larry. There's a lot to cover here, but just briefly, recapping who you are, your experiences, and what COINTELPRO is in your experience.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to say to you, Alex, you're my friend and my brother, and you are a warrior. And that's what we need, more people's warriors. Thank you so much for having me. As far as my background is concerned, I am, as you said, a veteran of the Black Panther Party, the original real Black Panther Party. And I write as an editorial board member and columnist, national columnist with blackcommentator.com, as well as with intrepidreport.com. But more importantly than me, well, I'll add this. I was imprisoned for 10 years as a result of having been a target of COINTELPRO, 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 an acronym counterintelligence program. And there were many thousands of people who were then, and brothers and sisters still are, now targets of COINTELPRO. Now, with respect to the program itself, COINTELPRO was set up to discredit, to frame, to imprison, to murder, and to, quote, neutralize political dissidents in this nation. Oh, yes, this nation, the United States of America. No, we're not talking about Russia or China or Serbia or, no, we're talking about the United States of America, okay? And it was set up, I'm going to say it again, to discredit, to frame, okay, to imprison, to murder political dissidents, and that's of all colors. Let me emphasize that, all colors, not just black folks. Now, it's across the board, black, white, brown, red, yellow. It is across the board. And it is high time that we understand that the real target of this ongoing program, as it has been codified in the so-called NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, the real target, signed, by the way, by none other than Barack Obama on December 31st, 2011, when he thought everybody was sleeping or partying. Okay, the real targets are whom? The real targets are all of us, across the board. All of us, all colors, both genders. Let's get real. Let's be honest. So that's what COINTELPRO continues to be about. And because it has been codified, it is even more dangerous now than ever before. COINTELPRO actually began in the 1950s. It was intensified and tweaked in the 1960s, 70s, and early 80s. But now here we are in the so-called 21st century, and we've got this colored clone sitting in the White House signing NDAA, extending Patriot Act. And by the way, if folks don't know what NDAA, it is a law that says people, Americans and non-Americans alike, but specifically U.S. citizens, can be imprisoned indefinitely without charge, without jury, without judge, and without legal defense. Hey, don't talk to me about Obama or anybody else in the system, be they Democrats or Republicans, talking about democracy. This is not democracy. This is a subversion of democracy. And COINTELPRO continues today. It has been tweaked in 2012. And we need to wake up, stop being manipulated, stop being divided, stop being pimped, stop being fools. We're not hamsters. I always say this. We're not hamsters. We're not laboratory rats. We are thinking, reasoning human beings. I'm sorry. I guess I'm off on a rant. Sorry.
No, you're right. And you know, in this continuum, because it's been in the news that they're bringing COINTELPRO back. I mean, it never went away, but they're intensifying it. As the system realizes, people are getting mad across the board, and there's a continuum. I mean, it's arresting people for protesting, it's beating them up, it's going to their houses, it's getting them fired, it's death-threatening people, it's planting drugs on them, it's having women call up to your house and tell your wife that you've gotten them pregnant. I mean, I've had a lot of that stuff happen to me. I've seen it happen to others. I mean, I told you the story when you were on the radio. Mike Hansen saw it happen. We went to cover an urban warfare drill in Brooksville, Florida 12 years ago. We're walking around the neighborhood before the military gets there, and they say, "Oh, you're Alex Jones. The Army came to my door and said, don't talk to you. You're crazy." And I thought, well, I just was told by an Army tip-off that they were going to do an urban warfare takeover drill, which they now admit they were doing. And then that night we're there waiting for the troops to roll out on the streets. and a guy just jumps out and starts lighting fires and then trying to blame us for it. We put out the fires, restrain the guy. He runs off with the military. But, I mean, I just can't imagine how they would get the federal government and the military when a journalist tries to go cover what they're doing to set a fire. And I mean, so it's scary because they put you in prison. I wonder what they're going to try to do to me. Or then I wonder if they did that 12 years ago, why are they not doing that to me now? I mean, is it the calm before the storm? It's kind of scary to interview you because it makes me realize what they could do to me.
Well, Alex, the fact is, and we have to be blunt about this, my brother, the fact is that we are a target. And you are a target. I am a target. We are the big target. But all of us are targets because all of us are leaders. I want to say that again. That's what they don't know how to deal with. You see, they want to be able to decapitate an Alex Jones, to decapitate a Larry Pinkney, to decapitate whomever they can. But you see, what you and I are doing is we are planting seeds with everyone because we are all leaders. And this frightens them. And oh yeah, they'll plant fires, they'll start fires, they'll plant bombs, they'll plant guns, they'll do anything. This is loathsome. But let's not, let us not become paranoid because the bottom line is the will of the people, as we used to say back in the day in the Black Panther Party, the will of the people is stronger than the man's technology. So government, including our own government, our, in quotation marks, own government that indulges, that engages in these nefarious, despicable activities is a government that is not about, it is not about preserving democracy. It is about subverting, I repeat, subverting democracy. So you, Alex, stay aware. Watch your back, just like I have to do, on every level, personal, political, every level. But we need to carry on. We will not let these, with all due respect, if there's such a thing when it comes to the next word I'm about to use, we will not let these swine, these fascists, yes, I use the F word, fascist, because we're talking about 21st century fascism. They don't have to be wearing swastikas or being a part of the SS. Oh, no, they've tweaked it now. They've gone beyond that. They're talking now about, oh, wow, you have to do this. You have to speak in PC terms. PC? What is PC? PC is simply a way of saying you can't express yourself in the way that you know because you might actually make contact with someone. I don't give a damn about that. Let's be honest with each other. Let's be honest, like Malcolm said. And any differences that we have, and we will have differences, but any differences that we have, my brother, we will deal with those differences.
No, exactly. And they want to make everybody so uncomfortable that nobody communicates.
Exactly.
Here's an example, and I don't bring this up because, you're black, I'm supposedly white, whatever it is. I raise this because it upsets me because I have been against abortion because, I know it's about eugenics, population reduction. And from my view, they've taught people it's this wonderful right, and we've got to defend it, and it's so great. But I know what it came out of. I know about Margaret Sanger. But every time I talk to these people, they say, do you want to adopt these black babies? And I go, actually, there are people lined up too. And now we have a video of one of these abortionists that's hit the news saying this. And then I also know about the British head abortionist lady who was sending all these love letters to Hitler. Paul Watson did an article about this yesterday. But my point is, when I've talked to a lot of black leaders who are establishment, they don't want to discuss the fact that 51% of black people in the last 38 years in this country have not been born. And we, of course, have covered that and talked to the few black pastors and others that actually will speak about it. But I'm not like some bleeding heart PC person running off to, earn brownie points that I'm over here, oh, let's save the black children. It does freak me out. When I think about the fact that these people are posing and operating as liberals, and the truth is, like Margaret Sanger said, we're going to hire some black preachers, we're going to act liberal so I can kill these weeds, and then you see them today saying it, and I've run into it many times where I'm like, listen, you need to stop pushing abortion in the schools. The people that want to adopt those kids, and they say, you don't want those black babies. It's like a statement. Now we have it on tape again. I don't know if you saw 2 years ago. People called Planned Parenthood and said, I want to give money to kill blacks. They're like, yes, sir, we'll make sure that money's to kill black children. My point is they take this and distribute it out to everybody. So even if somebody, you know, doesn't like black people, or even if some black folks don't like white people, whatever the case is, the point is this global system hates everybody, from my experience. And whatever it beta tests in a group that it sees as weak and unpopular, Muslims, whatever, it will then export onto everybody. That's always been the plan. So I'm ranting now. I'm going to play the, before we went live here, I played you the clip. You heard it. But let's play it again for the viewers out there. Guys, we have that ready? Let's go ahead and roll that clip one more time, where the abortionist is saying to the Christians, the white Christians, he says, listen, you adopt these ugly black babies. And they said, yes, let us adopt them. Here's that clip.
Don't put it on the taxpayer, okay? I don't wish to pay for the baby with my money.
Rather profit
okay, you get it?
You would rather profit off of those children?
No, I'm not profiting. I, as a taxpayer, do not wish to pay for those babies to be born and brought up and kill those people in Colorado. Go ahead and pay for that. Let me see you adopt one of those ugly black babies, okay?
We do.
If you tell us, we'll adopt them.
Yeah, go ahead. Adopt those babies, okay? Take them off the taxpayers' money, okay?
Give us a chance to adopt them.
But I didn't know that it was a black person, they said, did the shootings in Colorado. I thought the patsy was a white guy. But, I mean there he is saying, then you adopt the ugly black babies. I thought black babies are pretty darn cute, like all the other babies. But, again, there's this idea going on here that, well, I mean, there it is. What do you say to that?
Well, what I say to that, Alex, is anything they can do, as despicable, as utterly ridiculous as it is, anything they can do or say to keep us divided and fighting against each other. I mean, come on, you know, you black the black babies, it's almost like people saying, oh, I love Obama. Why? Because he's black. I mean, let's stop being ridiculous here, and let's start actually thinking. Let's start critically thinking. And the bottom line is, like you said, it's not about black babies or, white babies, brown babies, yellow babies, red babies. It's about humanity. And when people, go off into this ridiculous, I mean, this is so absurd. With all due respect, my brother, this is so absurd. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying that clip. Here are people out here talking this nonsense when they should be honing in on the common interest of everyday, ordinary black, white, brown, red, and yellow people.
No, I agree, but let me ask you this question, because you've been in this from the start, the time you were born. Why does the eugenicist New World Order crowd really have it out for black folks worldwide? Because you are the apple of their eye. I mean, they want to kill everybody, and they say that, but they really want to kill folks from Africa. Why, I mean, from your research, why is that?
Well, I'm glad you said folks from Africa, because, you notice I always call you my brother. And I do that not only politically, but I do it personally. As far as I'm concerned, Africa is the mother of civilization. Therefore, I do not refer to myself as a, quote, African American. I refer to myself as a black American. Why? Simply because we are all African Americans. Excuse me. You, whether you're white and, black, brown, red, yellow, turquoise, we all come from Mother Africa, and we all live on Mother Earth. So the bottom line is that we need to understand that our struggle is a united struggle. The eugenics, they can play all that they want. They're going to come up with, even as we're talking right now, Alex, I'm sure they're working on yet another plan. Malcolm X used to say they're always planning like as if in a laboratory, always planning, what can we do next to keep these rats divided? You know what? We need to be planning, what can we do next to keep ourselves united, strong, and powerful, and as a people, collectively as a people. So
I agree. Then what do we do to get united? Because there's so much divide and conquer going on out there. I mean, and then the ruling class are inbred and insane. I mean, you inbreed a dog, they go crazy. I mean, so what do you do?
what you do is, first of all, turn off that damn mainstream, what I call corporate stream media. That media is nothing but a propaganda arm that Goebbels and Hermann Goering would be incredibly proud of today. Turn off the corporate stream media. Tune in to programs that are going to give you a serious alternative view, or views, plural, not just one view, but views. You know, we need to stop being laboratory rats.
I agree.
All of us.
They want to limit our options, and that's what I say. People say, you have one guest on one day saying one thing, and then another guest the next day, and I go, yeah, I want to learn. I want to hear all the ideas. I want to be challenged. I don't want to just hear mainline conservative talk radio, the same thing over and over again, or NPR, the same thing over and over again. When it gets down to it, it's limited choices trying to keep us on the reservation.
That's right. The reservation plantation. That's what I refer to it as. The reservation plantation. And as long as they can keep us on the reservation/plantation, then what are we? We're laboratory rats. It's time for us to take our destiny into our own hands as we the people. Let's make the Constitution real. Let's take it back. Let's tweak it. Let's turn it into something, as we used to say in the Black Panther Party, that really represents all power to the people, Alex. All power to the people. Not these blood-sucking corporatists. Oh, my God, don't even get me started. But
let's go back here, because they try to radicalize groups, and by radicalize, make them say ridiculous and stupid things. They do them to all groups. They try to do it with us, so they take things we say out of context. Right. But going back, because we talked about this briefly last time, and I saw people commenting, wanting to know more, because I know you're more of an expert on this than I am by far, probably one of the leading experts. Malcolm X, incredibly articulate, super smart guy, amazing oratory skills, just like you have. We know why they put you in jail for no reason with COINTELPRO. You know, they're scared of the pen is mightier than the sword, the voice, the information. Yeah. But when he did realize that it was divide and conquer they wanted, that's when they had to get rid of him, because they built him up because he was helping divide and conquer. As soon as he was about unity, they had to kill him. Elaborate on that and where you think we'd be today if people like Malcolm X hadn't been killed.
Well, thank you. That is incredible. That's an incredible question. The fact is that Brother Malcolm evolved. Malcolm was talking, about, kill Whitey and the white devil. Well, I don't think Malcolm actually ever said kill Whitey, but he's a white devil, blah, 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 blah. The government loved it. Oh, yes, he's wonderful. That's our boy, But as soon as Malcolm evolved and he realized that, no, that's not what it's about. It's about collective unity. We're human beings, all of us here. All of these are my sisters and my brothers. Oh, my God. Then the government said, oh, no, you've got to eliminate this man. Why, this man is out here talking about unifying the people against who? Against them. Against them. And that's right. And that's the whole thing of what you're doing, what I am trying to do, what others are trying to do, is to unify the people. We don't have a magic wand. We don't have a yellow brick road to follow. But what we do have is our common sense and our human goodwill. And we must stop letting these insidious, insipid pieces of manure called the government, I call them the corporate syndicate, government, really subvert everything that we try to do. All this left-right nonsense, hey, dispense with this. Left, right, false paradigm. This is a false paradigm. It is a paradigm to keep people divided. Democrat, Republican. They're Republic rats. They're rats. R-A-T-S, all of them. Let's deal with the people. It is time for a second American Revolution. And this time, that includes all the people, black, white, brown, red, yellow, all the people, male and female, my brother. So what do we need to do? We need to make sure that under no circumstances do we allow these insidious pieces of manure to keep us divided, to keep us subjugated, to keep us in fear of each other, because that's what it's about. Whether it's Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, or whatever other Martian they come up with. It's not about the people, but we the people, are the only ones who are.
I like the fact that you call them Martians, because if you really look at Barack Obama and Mitt Romney and who backs them and what they really stand for, it's identical. The rhetoric's a little bit different, but I mean, it's getting so close. And then I know all these Republicans are like, we've got to vote for him. You know, and these mainline Republicans, they really, a lot of them do believe in freedom, all this stuff. They're just misled. They think Obama's the communist that's going to get them. They don't understand he's financed by big mega banks, and the commie thing is only one level of it. And then I talk to people that are like, well, Obama's a liberal. And then, like you said, 95% of black folks voting for him, saying, well, and then none of it got delivered. But it's like Coke, Pepsi, Ford, Chevy. It's not a real choice. It's this fake selection that they give us. And what do you say to people out there? Because they're going to say, well, if you're not saying vote for Obama, well, vote for Mitt Romney. No, the point is the whole thing is a fraud. So, I mean, what do you say to, you know, black folks in the community you talk to that are like, well, I mean, you were imitating, oh, I love Obama. I mean, what do you say to them?
I say to him to remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, who said, and I quote, "We would judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin." So when black people say, I love Obama because he black, what? No, I'm going to just say it. You know it's true. He black. What? Excuse me? I didn't know that I was voting or supporting someone based on their pigmentation. I thought I was supposed to support someone, okay, based on what? Their character, what they have done, what their principles are, what their integrity is, okay? That's what I say, not only to black people, but to white people, to brown people, to red people, to yellow people. That's what I say to all people. And let me just throw this in real quick, Alex. Yes, I call them Martians, and by them I'm talking about the Mitt Romneys and the Barack Obamas. I'm speaking, of course, euphemistically, because we know the media are honing on that.
But they are alien compared to the rest of the people. They're part of that. They
are.
Yeah.
They are. You're right. You're absolutely correct. They are alien. And we must begin to understand and look at them for what they are, not for what we want them to be. We need to look at them for what they are and act accordingly. My brother, it is so simple. It is not, you don't need to be, I don't need to be a rocket scientist, a physicist to understand that.
Going back, because I wonder how they get military, FBI, others to go and frame innocent people, because just at an instinctive level or a spiritual level, I guess you call it God-fearing, I don't even want to do bad, but if I even think or imagine doing something bad consciously, I can like feel the fear. I guess what you mean, like man, that's bad mojo, whatever you want to call it, bad karma, bad reap what you sow. I could not imagine, even my enemies, it's almost like a sense of pride that if my enemy got in my face and hit me, I'm going to kick their butt, but I'm not going to go set somebody up. And I just wonder how people lie about people knowingly, how they try to destroy their lives, how they would put you and others, because it came out in Congress. There's been books written on it. I mean, the whole story is long, obviously. In prison, I've had them try it with me. How does somebody get up in the morning and say, I'm going to go frame Alex Jones or Larry Pinkney? I mean, I almost feel sorry for those people. And it's not because I'm goody two-shoes. It's because I'm God-fearing.
Well, I think it is number one, Alex, because you're human. We need to understand that these people have lost their humanity. I want to say that again. These people have lost their humanity. And what this insidious piece of manure government, corporate government that we have and have had for some decades now does, what they do is they play on human frailties, human weaknesses. They will play on you, your family, your friends, your associates, and that's how they do it. That's how they turn people. They turn them. I don't think people generally are bad or evil. I think people are turned, and they're turned. That's what COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, was and continues to be all about. Unless, of course, we're talking about somebody like Barack Obama, who was groomed by the CIA long before he became a presidential candidate. But I'm talking about the everyday, ordinary black, white, brown, red, or yellow person.
Sure, isn't Obama, though, because Bush could hardly read off a teleprompter. I mean, Obama really is, or Barry Soetoro, whoever he really is, he is the candidate 2.0 because he's slick, he can read off a teleprompter, he's got a nice voice, you know, he's handsome, and it's all fake, but he can project and act like he's got a soul. You wonder, who is that guy? Because with a Richard Nixon or somebody, the evil, or a Bush, the evil shines through. And now as Obama loses, I guess, the narcissistic support he had, he acts a little more evil and stuff. But, I mean, take Mitt Romney. He comes off on the surface as charming, but he's incredibly evil. I mean, these guys are the candidate 2.0.
Yes, yes. And the fact of the matter is that whether we're talking about Obama or Romney or any other puppet that they put up there, because that's what they are. They're nothing more than puppets. You know, we have to understand that they are put there to project an image. Look, I don't give a damn. The people don't give a damn about an image. We give a damn about the reality, about trying to live, about trying to pay our rent, our mortgages, about trying to buy our food, about trying to take care of our children and give them a decent education, about trying to live in a secure environment that's human, not some kind of mechanized, mechanoid machine environment. And that's what they're trying to bring us. When I say they, I'm talking about the Democrats and the Republicans. And it's time for the people, we the people, all power to the people, take it back. Take it back. We've got to do that. You know, and that's what I say. And Alex, I'm going to say this to you. I'm going to say it to you publicly. My brother, beware. But don't ever give up. Beware. You know, I always say to my sisters and brothers, my friends and close political quote-unquote comrades, and comrades is not a communist term, by the way. Comrade just means someone that you are close to, you respect. You know, police have comrades. They call each other comrades.
No, I understand. Anytime something bad uses a word, then the word's taken away forever, yeah.
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So I just want to say to you and to anyone out there who's watching this, keep strong. Watch your back. That's what I always say to my brothers and sisters. My sisters and brothers, watch your back, but keep going. Don't let these suckers make you paranoid, because that's what they want to do.
Oh no, I mean, I'm sure I'm beyond that. It freaks me out at a spiritual level to just realize that there really are this many evil people, or people they can buy for money, because a lot of people that serve the system do it out of fear. Like we've reached a crisis level now where it turns out the IRS is handing out all these fake tax ID numbers that they then merge with real people's Social Security numbers, and the IRS agents have finally blown the whistle and said, we're told once somebody's had their number stolen, we're just going to go ahead and charge the real person because we know they're not criminals and in the system, and we're going to destroy their life and take their house and bank account. And that finally is so evil that the IRS agents are blowing the whistle. But it's like, what type of government comes up with that, where they give out fake numbers that can then be attached to real people? I mean, what type of government gets together, we now learned 12 years ago, Bloomberg reported, to get the death benefits of dead troops, to steal it from their widows? I mean, it's you. I mean, the more I study evil, it's just like, what? It's just, I mean.
Alex, the type of government, to answer your question, that does this is a repressive, anti-people government. It's a government that only wants to maintain power. They don't give a damn about serving the people. They're not public servants. They serve themselves. They serve themselves on huge platters, and they talk a lot of baloney, a lot of nonsense, a lot of unmitigated DS, if I may say that on your show, okay, that really is about serving and helping themselves. And they will do anything, and I repeat, anything, to maintain their power and their position and their prestige. And they'll use it, they'll use anybody, anyway, anyhow.
Well, let me raise this to you then. Studying history and philosophy and all the areas, you know, that you've delved into, where do you see it in the scheme of things going? Because I see power elites who go power mad and just have to exercise the power because they got it, and they end up blowing holes in their own boat's bottom. And I see them admittedly getting ready for martial law and takeovers and now admitting everything we've talked about. Now it's out in the open. I've become kind of made passé by the fact that this is so out in the open. Where do you see this craziness going, where they're just robbing and stealing and I mean, don't they know that elites have done this before and actually that they're the biggest threat to themselves? Yes, they do know that. They do know that. But they are what I call insatiably greedy. I mean, it's like a person who has a disease where the more you eat, the more you have to eat. These people are pathological. They are pathological. They are sick. And of course they know that. They do know that. Look at what they're doing to Mother Earth, to the planet. They're wiping it out. Do they care? Well, on one hand, they say they do, but look at what their actions demonstrate. Their actions demonstrate that they don't give a damn. Why? Because it's more money, money, money. I'm going to make millions, billions, trillions. Okay? So we have to understand that, but and I said understand, not accept. We don't have to accept it. We never accept it. But we have to understand that that's where these Robotrons, are coming from. They are sick, pathological. No, you're right. The so-called elite themselves, because I've been around them and read their writings, been at some parties and run into like pretty high-level people, they are the most empty, robotic. I mean, they are androids, and they know we're concerned about all the problems in the earth: GMO, toxic waste, deforestation, overfishing, played-out soils. Their answer is use all our concern as a power grab to tax carbon dioxide plants breathe, make it all about that to give them money to double our power prices, and then ignore all the real stuff they're doing. And I'm like, what are you going to do with all this money and power? Don't you even care about your grandchildren, lunatics? No, they don't. When it really gets down to it, they don't. And if they don't care about their grandchildren, what the hell do you think they care about us? Well, people, in fact, I always say they don't care about us, and then I catch myself. No, they do care. They enjoy hurting people. And coming to that realization, but do you think there's any hope in being able to reach the children of the elite? I mean, is there any way through the system to get them to pull back? Absolutely, there's hope in being able to reach the children of the elite. Some, and I emphasize some. Let me be clear about that. Not all by any stretch of the imagination, but some. There is hope, because what we have to continually appeal to is their humanity. We have to continually appeal to their principles. We have to, albeit they may not have been instilled with much principles or many principles, but they do have some humanity, at least some of them. And yes, we can. And whether it's the children of the elite or not, frankly, the people that I'm more concerned about, whether it's beyond the children of the elite, are the everyday people. It's like a pyramid. We are on the bottom of this damn pyramid. And we are billions and billions of people. And we are the ones who have to move. And when we move, that point at the top of that pyramid is going to tip over. But we have to do it collectively. No, listen, I totally agree. I spend all my time trying to reach out to the grassroots. The establishment tells us we don't have power because we have all the power. My issue is I just study history, common sense. I see what the technocrats are doing. I mean, they're really the alpha maggots. They're like cancer, programmed to take it all, as Max Kaiser says. I'm just trying to say, do you have any sanity? Do you think you're going to escape the technocracy you're building? So my question was, I mean, to you is, I don't spend any time really trying to reach out to the establishment, but lately I've been thinking, should we spend some time trying to do that? Because they act like we're not even here. They write their white papers admitting they're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines and just communicate how they're killing us in all these public papers. And I'm here reading them. I'm going, I'm reading this, and I'm reading how you're setting up world government, how you plan to kill everybody. Hey, you think that's really good? And they just keep ignoring us. I mean, I guess the only way you get their attention is because, I mean, I'm a guy who is for not offensive violence. It's not like I follow Gandhi or, Martin Luther King, because I will, if I'm attacked, I will defend myself, but I'm not offensively looking for trouble. But other than that, is there anything other than violence that gets these people's attention?
I don't know. I think that beyond violence, I can say this, that when we become organized collectively, that gets their attention, and they're going to do everything they can to try to neutralize, word from COINTELPRO, quote unquote, neutralize us being organized. Make those, get those niggas, get those crackers, get those spicks, get those whatever, you dig? Keep them disorganized. And they'll do it any way they can, through their corporate stream media, through their corporate government propaganda. That's what they do. But once the people bump hip to that, become aware of that, become cognizant of that, hey, their little time becomes limited. And therein lies my hope. Because I think more and more and more people are becoming cognizant of it. And you're not going to see it on PBS or Fox News or NBC or ABC or NPR. No, they're not going to do that, because basically when it comes down to it, fundamentally, they're all the same. But we're going to see it on programs like this, where you and I and others are talking.
Human beings are face to face, getting past all the labels, all the walls, all the garbage, getting real. But expanding on that, you watch Fox News, it's basically be scared of the black people. And then, but you watch, but what I've learned is the real hardcore racist are the so-called liberals. When you watch MSNBC, they are drooling with nothing but race warfare, endless garbage, fight with each other, spewing it in all directions. And you can tell, I've talked to some of them off record too, they know exactly what they're doing. And they're just hardcore operatives. I mean, what's your view of MSNBC? I mean, I watch it, it's sick.
Well, you just summed up my view of MSNBC. It is sick. It is a part of the power paradigm. It is a part of the power elite maintaining that phony, fake, fraudulent left-right paradigm. MSNBC, please. Please.
Well, they're also financed by all the big weapons makers, but then they're dancing around, and then they're praising all these wars. I mean, look at Obama, the Peace Prize winner. They intended the whole time to make war as peace, 1984. Your view on that?
Well, he was a Peace Prize winner, but what people didn't understand was they spelled peace a different way. You see, you and I spell peace P-E-A-C-E, but they spell peace P-I-E-C-E. You dig? And so he's a Peace Prize winner, all right, that predator drone, warmongering, NDAA signing, blood-curdling, let me just stop right there. The bottom line is, so whether it's Romney or Obama, but Obama has actually demonstrated what he's about. And what he's about is subterfuge, war, and repression. And it's time for us to wake up to that. I don't care about his color. His color is irrelevant.
Whatever happened to this? Because I mean, there really were people who called themselves on the left who had humanity for my research and just what I saw 15, 20 years ago. Now, I mean, there's just no opposition. I mean, because I guess Bush was so bad it was fun to hate him, and then Obama comes along, it just doesn't fit the script. So now I hear people on the left going, you know what, torture's good, secret arrest is good, all these wars are good because we're bringing democracy to Libya and Syria. No, you're not. I mean, they have Al-Qaeda lining up, and I'm not just saying this because you're black, it's what's happening, lining up the black people. Tarpley was there, Dr. Tarpley, when this was all happening, lining them up and shooting them. And then you mentioned this, the so-called left, they just laugh at you. I mean, it's incredible.
It is incredible. And I'm going to say it, I've said it repeatedly, and I'm going to keep on saying it and let the chips fall where they may, my brother. But the fact of the matter is, I'm out of the left. I come out of the left, and I'm saying to the left that the vast majority of the so-called left in this country are hypocrites. They have shown, they have demonstrated that they are hypocrites. They will not call what they see out. They want to talk about, oh, we're anti-war. Well, if you anti-war, how can you be pro-Obama? That's a contradiction in terms. Come on, people. It was okay You know, it was not okay, I should say, when G.W. Bush and his predecessors did it, but somehow it's okay with Obama. Obama, please, get a life, get real, be honest, stop being hypocrite. I'm saying that to my brothers and sisters in the left. I'm saying stop being hypocrite. Be honest with yourselves. Regain your humanity. And yes, Alex, there was a time when there were many more in the left, quote unquote, who did have principles and integrity. Where did it go? I'm not sure.
Well, and speaking of the right and the left and just all these controlled groups, if they don't instinctively know that all this evil that's been done in our name with our money is not just going to sit there. The universe, God, I've learned this in my life, but I can feel it. I mean, in my gut, I shake with concern for this country and the rest of the world for all the evils we've allowed to happen. Because even if we oppose it, it's still going to be brought down on us. I mean, and same thing for the ruling class. I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of elitists, and they're very unhappy people, and it's because they're not doing the right thing. And they cynically think that it's this social Darwinism, survival of the fittest, that the more ruthless they are, that they're actually helping the world. And no, they're not. Any ruling class that has to dumb people down so it can rule them is a pathetic group of scum. If they're so high and mighty, they should want to build up humanity. We can go to the stars together. But they don't care. They want to dumb everything down and hoard it all and then destroy themselves in the process.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just amazing. Always great to have Larry Pinkney on. I hope people visit your site, Black Activist, writersguild.org, blackactivistwg.org. They can also find the book there that was written by a scholar about COINTELPRO and your story and so much more. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you. Thank you, my brother. Stay strong. Watch your back. Stay strong and carry on.
All right. Thank you. Well, folks, that is, you know what? I forgot to ask him. Is he gone yet? Is he gone yet? Hold on. Hold on. Okay. I didn't plan this, but I've got to ask you just briefly for folks.
Yes.
It's anticlimactic. But just so groups out there like militias and others can understand how they get radicalized and taken over. Briefly, just as a history lesson, and I know you've got some of this on your site, what have they done to the modern Black Panther Party, new Black Panther Party that we see today that is the stuff that they were, you know, wanting Malcolm to say before about, you know, kill the white babies, the military manufacturing center, you know, stuff like that. What is the brief, I mean, because it's, you know, you're a busy guy, we've got you here. Briefly, just in a couple minutes, 3-4 minutes, what happened with the real Black Panther Party versus the new one?
The real Black Panther Party was utterly decimated by the machinations, the tactics and strategies of COINTELPRO. People were murdered. First of all, they put in infiltrators. People were murdered, whether we're talking about Fred Hampton, whether we're talking about people who were in prison falsely like Geronimo Jijaga Pratt. Well, I mean, I could go on and on and on. That's what the real Black Panther Party was about. Our breakfast programs, who knows about them? Our service programs, our free medical clinics, who knows about them? People don't know about that because the government, media, and propaganda, you know, made sure that they didn't. Now, then you have these so-called new Black Panthers, and I say so-called in heavy quotation marks. Yeah, show me your breakfast programs nationally. Show me your free medical programs nationally. Show me your health programs. Show me the fact that, as we said in the Black Panther Party, all power to the people. We didn't say all power just to black people. We said all power to the people. So, you know what? Racist is as racist does. Okay, bottom line. Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party formed in October of 1966, was about serving the people body and soul. What this group of folks are, hey, I sure as hell can't tell you what they are, but I know what they're not. They're not about serving the people collectively.
Well, I see them doing exactly what the white supremacist groups do, which it comes out are always Fed run. It's just about having two radical groups to put out there so everybody's scared of each other to get us fighting.
Mm-hmm. You got it. You've said it. You've summed it up. I couldn't put it any better.
Well, I wanted to get your take on it. I know there's more at Black Activists, writersguild.org. Again, now we are going to end the show. It's kind of like a concert where they come back out for one more song. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, brother. Stay strong. Watch your back.
All right, thank you. Guys, tell him thank you, and we're going to end the transmission with that. Another extended, I was going to have him on for 15 minutes. You know, we're about to officially launch the TV show actually on satellite and stuff, not just internet. Huge audience here, but I'm going to have to start cutting the interviews down to 15 minutes on an hour long. But that was certainly informative. Actually, what we're going to do once the show goes to an official hour is we'll just cut it at one point and then have the rest that's on prisonplanet.tv. Because interviews like that are just too important, too powerful. That is the kind of stuff that'll get me killed, though. They do not want people getting along, ladies and gentlemen. That is not what the New Order wants. But my God, folks, I mean, I can't tell you how many, quote, liberals I've had hiss at me and say, who's going to who's going to adopt these black babies? And I'm just like, what? I mean, you know, you go kill them then. I mean, it is just, well, I guess that abortionist is. It's so cold-blooded. And I just, my whole body says, well, kill me then, because I'm not signing on to this. I'm not signing on to it. Did I grow up in Dallas and was at the other end of black racism? Sure. But I also had a lot of black friends. You know, my whole issue here is I get the culture wars and all this stuff. They put us in positions where it's hard not to fight with each other. But in the final equation, it's like two fighting fish they put in the tank to kill each other. I don't want to play the game anymore. I want people to have decency and honor and a good future. And I know freedom and private property and the family and all the things. Whatever you see on the nightly news, whatever you see on the dramas and sitcoms, what are they attacking? Family. What are they attacking? Men and women. What are they attacking? Marriage. What are they attacking? People working together. What are they pushing in the name of multiculturalism and liberalism? Constantly about what race you are, not what you do or what you stand for. It's more effective racism than the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, it is absolutely, everything is about race or religion, not about who you are as a person or what you stand for. And I'm just sick of it. I want to know people. But so many people are so busy just all in what group they are or whatever that you can never get down to real issues, that we've all got red blood, folks. Our livers and brains look just the same. Our blood vessels look the same. All of this, it's pure crap. Because I'll tell you this, the worst people, I don't care if they're the communist Chinese leadership or the Nazi leadership of World War II or the Soviet leadership or Mao Zedong and their leadership who claimed power to the people but it was the opposite, or the Mitt Romney or Barack Obama, they all work for the psychopath guild. They all work for people that love no one. I mean, I know how people work. I'm a great advertising guy. I know about psychology, but I don't sit there and try to do some deception on people. I try to say, how do I project the truth in the most truthful way? And that's the real essence. It's easy to tell lies, folks. You've got to really, really expand your mind to be able to just glimpse the truth. Because the truth is big, wide, tall, deep. It's scary, it's exhilarating, it's empowering, it's horrifying. It smells great, but it also stinks. It is big. And that's why people go with lies. They're quicker, they're easier. Now I'm quoting Yoda, but it's true. I mean, the dark side, ladies and gentlemen, will deliver power very, very quickly. It grows quickly like cancer, but it leads you to a bad place. Goodness and truth leads you to an incredible place, but it is not an easy road at first. And again, the world will always try to make you feel like you're bad, because all of us do bad things. But it's which way is our heart turned? You know, plants turn towards the sun. Do we turn towards the spiritual center of that universe, all that is good, what life flows out of, what truth flows out of, or do we turn towards darkness? And all of us have darkness in us. In fact, sometimes you can gaze into the darkness, and only by looking at that can you realize how good goodness is. And many philosophers have pointed that out. So I don't judge anybody who has a dark streak through them. We all do. But it's the difference of which way do you turn your heart. You know, is it the Psalms in the Old Testament? You know, it talks about King David. And he sends off his best friend to get killed in a mission. He knows he's going to get killed because he just is lusting after his wife, and all he can think about is how he wants to have her. But after it happened, he truly repented, because he hadn't even been caught, you know, getting him killed. But he truly repented and changed. So the difference is, it isn't even that we do bad things. It's that we recognize the good from the evil. So God said, you're a man after my own heart. And that's the difference. So many of these evil people are actually very weak. And they have not actually traversed many different areas of the human landscape. And that's why I feel sorry for them. They are so shuttered that they think evil is giving them power, giving them security. And the deeper they get into evil, they discover it does not bring security. It brings fear and pain and sorrow. And so they try to amass more and more power, thinking that is going to deliver them from the world they've entered into. That's it for this edition of Infowars Nightly News. Lord willing, we will be back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central, at InfoWarsNews.com or PrisonPlanet.tv. I know some TV stations and cable systems are picking up the show. They're downloading it and then airing it the next day. We appreciate that. It's free to air, folks, as long as you don't alter the information in its original content. That doesn't even mean you can't use short clips of it. It's just don't edit it together to deceptively mislead people, because we retain the final copyright of the entire transmission itself, and the views and commentary and information and analysis and breakdown and fair use herein, all within the First Amendment and free speech systems. All right, my friends, subscribe at PrisonPlanet.tv, 15 cents a day, $5.95 a month. You can get 6 memberships for the price of 1. That's 6 memberships for $5.95 a month, because you can use the same username and passcode with 6 people simultaneously. PrisonPlanet.tv, if you believe in this information or believe in the open, free flow of information, then be sure and subscribe at PrisonPlanet.tv. Big things do have small beginnings. And if you think we've grown, you've only seen the beginning. So we put ourselves in the hands of God. When I pray to God, I don't ask God for things. I ask God for God's will. And I know in my heart it is God's will that this InfoWar journey continue. Does that mean Alex Jones will always be here? No, it doesn't. Does that mean you'll always be here? No. But what we do now does send those ripples through the ponds, through the lake of life forever. See you tomorrow night.
Every other amendment and every other right that we have. If we don't exercise this right, we fall prey to what you've seen in Colorado. So let's talk about safety tips. There's only 4. They're very basic. You'll see a lot of places that have more, maybe even less, hopefully not less. If you could follow these 4 basic safety tips, it will ensure not only your safety, but the safety of those around you. 1, all firearms are loaded until you physically and visually inspect the weapon yourself. Taking someone's word for it just isn't good enough. 2, never point a firearm at anything you're not willing to destroy. If you can eliminate this, the worst thing you'll do is put a hole in your carpet. 3, your finger stays off the trigger at all times until you're on target. Yet another thing. And then finally, 4, be aware of your target and its surroundings at all times. While your bullet may hit its intended target, you don't know if it'll penetrate it and actually injure an innocent person. So being aware of your surroundings, your backstop, all these features are very important for safety. Now, the reason why I wrote the article is because there's a lot of opinions on how everything went down, why it went down. And the ultimate reason why I wrote the article is because so many people cower in fear. There's no reason to. There are laws in 33 states currently, actually, I'm sorry, 34 states currently that allow concealed handgun licensing. Now, I'm not here to tell you that buying a handgun and getting a license is going to save your life. On the contrary, a lot of people are under the assumption that if they do get a handgun and they get a license, it comes with some sort of mysterious red cape that's going to save them. It's not the truth. Along with a firearm and a license comes with a lot of training. It's something that could be fun, it could be family-oriented, it could even be done in a corporate level. But the fact of the matter is if you don't do anything, you will be at the mercy of your attacker. Now keep in mind, 911, our police officers are out there and they're trying to do the best job possible. For the most part, I think they're doing a great job. However, you're still waiting on a 4 to 5 minute downtime for response. That leaves you at the mercy of your attacker. These people are not talking, they are shooting. In 3 or 4 minutes or even 5 minutes, you can clear out an entire movie theater, not just one of the theaters, but the entire complex. So taking your personal safety into your own hands is not just an option. It's a duty and a right that you have to exercise. And if you don't exercise it, as we've all learned, you'll lose it. I myself am a DPS certified CHL instructor in the state of Texas. Texas has reciprocity in 33 other states. That means our licensors are good in their states and theirs in ours. However, the laws do differ. After reviewing Colorado's law, all that I saw is that gun-free zones can only be implemented for federal buildings. So why is this theater chain actually stripping you of your constitutional rights, thinking that corporate policy can supersede state law? Individuals such as James Home are somewhat of a enigma.
People here in town are telling me, well, let's just say high level. Don't want to give away too much. They are being told that foreign governments have gotten all these Social Security numbers that Bank of America has released, the Texas Comptroller, so much of this is happening in Texas, and that the illegals somehow get these and the foreign governments get them with the tax ID numbers the IRS will give anybody. And then they merge those and are able to get even more money and refunds and tax credits for children and things like that that don't exist. And that once it's discovered that the identity's been stolen of U.S. citizens, the IRS freezes their accounts and things, in many cases takes their money. You heard me right. Takes the money of U.S. citizens out of their bank accounts, acting like they did it. And it's the IRS who's been ordered to give the illegal aliens and others unlimited fake tax ID numbers, which then allow them to use other fake Social Security numbers. But the other big news is there's a mutiny rebellion at the IRS. I mean, there's like giant complexes all over Austin. Just I don't want to say a few hundred yards, give away our location or anything, but very, very close to us is one of the main IRS locations. And they're just freaking out because the other big issue is they say over 70% of the new tax money and the audits they're doing are of retirees because they've retroactively changed the regulations to where now they're trying to say most of the retiree savings that are after tax money to begin with, 401ks, things like that, they're grabbing that. But a decade later, they're saying, well, you used a few $100,000 out of your retirement, and we're now saying penalties and interest. You owe us $1 million, so we're taking your $300,000 house. So this is such a big story. And I've had these IRS folks for, well, one of them 3 years, one of them a lot less than that. Give me info, but it's always, hey, we're not going to violate the whistleblower stuff. Even, you know, they'll come after us, but look into this. Well, look into that. Well, here's an example. There are houses in Austin getting $500,000 a year. The news, Accounting Digest said it was 80-something million at one house. But the point is that this was going on. And then they would give me, you know, all these examples that they were breaking down. But the big thing is the IRS is finally finding a conscience. It's like, I'll barbecue small children, but I won't fillet them while they're live. We humanely beat them on the head first with a hammer before we, you know, barbecue them. And they're taking old ladies' houses, you name it. I mean, they're grabbing diamond rings off people's fingers. And do you know where this goes? It goes to the offshore banks mainly, or all the people who've lost their jobs that are now going on welfare. And we've got a report here, over 100 million now on welfare in this country, of 310 mil. I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. IRS...
It's time for humanity to stand up in the Infowars. You want to fight? You better believe you've got one!
Tonight, Alex Jones talks with Black Panther veteran Larry Pinkney about the Trojan horse that is Barack Obama. Then, Treasury Department investigators say the IRS is helping illegal immigrants defraud the government out of billions of dollars. Plus, a woman who is a victim of a brutal rape undergoes a horrific experience at the hands of the TSA. And how to survive a theater-style shooting. Lock and load. That's coming up next on the Infowars Nightly News.
First story tonight is, well, something that we dropped the ball on, or I dropped the ball on. The last 3 years, I've talked to 2 different whistleblowers here at the main IRS command center nationwide. It's based in Austin, Texas, for whatever reason. And that's where this national story is now broken in the Associated Press. Last week, I mentioned on air we had several IRS whistleblowers and a big article about to come out. It's just they gave me so much information that I don't know where to start. But now it's in the Associated Press. It's everywhere because the Drudge Report put it out a few days ago. So they're forced to report on it. And we now have this inspector of the Treasury coming out and saying, oh, yes, some of the people at the IRS, the Treasury commands, so it's kind of like Obama acting like he didn't know about Fast and Furious. It's like the Don going after some of his capos and telling him not to follow his orders anymore once they get caught. They are saying that the IRS was giving fake tax ID numbers, which they could then use with Social Security numbers they'd stolen, even if they didn't match, to, in some cases, get hundreds of millions of dollars per home. In fact, they were saying 10 addresses had 59,000 plus tax returns, tax refunds sent to it. Now, here's the rest of the story you're not getting out of this and that we're going to be breaking very, very soon. And believe me, this is dangerous info. Foreign governments, the Russians, the Chinese, at least that's what the top IRS, missing billions in ID theft. Okay, here's the next report, American Dream. Michael Schneider reports, and he's got all the sources linked here. Over 100 million Americans are on welfare, $71.8 billion on food stamps alone. That's 46.4 million monthly getting that. And you add in all the other programs on Medicaid rolls, 16 million, and you add the rest of them up. It's over 100 million. We've got the little pie chart there for you. So from land of the free, a home of the brave, to land of the dependent. And all of this is done by the offshore banks where they give you a small portion of the chicken feed just so they've got a group that'll burn cities if they don't get given all of what they want. Okay, let's now move along from that spectacle of disenfranchisement. Of course, the illegal aliens are pretty big. I got to hand it to the illegal aliens. They're driving around in nicer cars than I am. They're living in nice houses. They don't follow any of the rules. They get DWI. The judge gives them a $10 fine. I've talked to prosecutors in town that have come to my office but are too scared to come on the air, assistant prosecutors. But it's all over the country. It's come out in the news, $10, $50 fines. They just make up whatever name they want. They do whatever they want, and the globalists work with them. American citizens are known as, one word, chumps. Well, 2 words, suckers. Well, schmucks, idiots, marks, the right whale, people to be abused, wimps, idiots, morons. Moving to the next story, Obama doesn't want us talking about this, and the head of the NSA admits it will be an internet ID that they can use to tax you, track you, or cut you off the internet if they claim you violated something without a court of law. Obama considering executive branch action on cybersecurity. And strangely enough, they used identity theft as the reason, while it's Bank of America and the Texas Comptroller and the IRS and all these agencies, 9 times out of 10, they are the #1 cause, look it up, of all the identity theft. People are scared to use the internet thinking that's where it's happening. Let me tell you, it's government, it's big banks selling the data, it's corrupt people inside DMVs, and then it is occasionally when you go into a gas station and they swipe your credit card, they've got a machine hooked up to steal it. They fence it to India or Pakistan. Those are the main countries. Israel does it some, Thailand, Saudi Arabia. And then now they clone that credit card and go out and start making purchases. All right, let's continue here. President Obama is considering executive branch action on U.S. cybersecurity, which has an assault weapons ban, by the way, not a ban on sale, on possession in it, after Congress failed to pass legislation to protect national security assets. A White House aide said, if the Congress is not going to act on something like this and the president wants to make sure that we're doing everything possible. Yeah, if Congress doesn't act, well, he just does whatever the hell he wants. Who needs a Congress? John Brennan, Obama's counterterrorism advisor, Obama runs Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria, advisor, that's like an oxymoron, said today at an event on the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington. They always make those announcements there at that mafia headquarters. Same folks praising Al-Qaeda last week. Let's move right along. Wade Page died of self-inflicted gunshot wound in Sikh temple shooting. Kind of like we were told somebody said, let's roll, and took down Flight 93, even though it was shot down by F-16s. We were told a cop shot this guy. But now it was self-inflicted, the Army PSYOPs officer connected to the white supremacist group, totally infiltrated, they admit, by the Southern Poverty Law Center, but magically, just like Oklahoma City, it happened. And the witnesses all said 4 shooters, and the head of the Sikh temple said, men casing the building. But hey, you know what? Let's just ignore they got 5 bills to basically ban most guns, and the UN treaty's not dead and all this, and that the cop didn't shoot him like we were told and all this. What a facts matter? They stage Fast and Furious. They'd never stage this. These are good people who give out fake tax ID numbers so they can be attached to real taxpayers, so the IRS can then go claim they engaged in the crime and take everything they got, no judge or jury. I mean, it's freedom. Let the troops use DU that kills them. Oh, yeah, here's our next story. There's the rancid possum himself. Democratic senators offer gun control amendment for cybersecurity bill, and it is one hell of a bill. It will ban all semi-autos, the possession, ban clips, everything else. And just absolutely horrible. But, so what? Chucky Schumer has bodyguards of his own. What does he care? Once he gets your guns, he can really have fun with you, like all despots do. Let's go now to our next video piece. You've seen him on the 2 beta test episodes we shot for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers of Brothers in Arms. My favorite episode was the drone shot down over Texas. Here's Matt Williams on how to survive a theater-style shooting. On July 20th, 2012, James Holmes allegedly committed an act of mass murder at the theater. Here's how you deal with that. They've got the Homeland Security video that says run and hide or use a fire extinguisher. Well, no, the answer would be have a firearm to defend yourself. But they always pick places where they think people won't have guns. So here's Matt Williams' report. We're going to come back, finish the news, go to the Ask Alex segment with Christy Hightower in studio, and then go to an amazing interview with one of the founding members of the real Black Panther Party. Stay with us.
This is Matt Williams reporting for Infowars Nightly News. Yesterday, I wrote an article regarding surviving a theater-style shooting. I wrote that article because I really wanted to address some of the concerns and questions a lot of Americans had. Did you have a choice? What could have been done to prevent it? Well, you can't stop crazy, but what you can do is solve it. In America, we have our Second Amendment. Our Second Amendment is one of our biggest fundamental rights. It protects